Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the 3D Critic channel. Today I'm going to give you guys my performance review on the Nike Lebron NXXT Genisus, which is the successor to the Lebron Next Gen and the Next Gen Amped, which was very good shoes in my opinion. The Next Gen and the Next Gen Amped were very good when it came to the traction, and the cushioning was really nice, responsive, bouncing, very comfortable. The Amped version had more premium materials, which gave it a nice feel, very comfortable, and it had really nice lockdown containment, just like the Next Gens too, but it's a more amped version, hence the name. And it had really nice support on top of it, so it was a very nice shoe all around. And the amped version was one of the best shoes that I have played in this year. And now that I found out it has a successor, I was curious to see if there were any changes, any improvements made to the shoe to make it better. Starting it off, they are retailing for $150, which is the exact same price as the Next Gen. So if you guys are interested, they are available at Nike.com right now, and I'll leave a link in the description box below if you guys are interested. Now, when it comes to trying them on, it is pretty straightforward. You just have to make sure that you have to open up the laces quite a bit just to get inside the shoe, because without lacing it, it is kind of tight. So you do have to open it up. That way you're all set. And after that, it's pretty much straightforward and it's pretty easy to put on. As far as sizing goes, I would go down half a size. And as when I did that, it was a really nice snug fit. At first, once you break it in, it does open up a little bit just to give it a little more accommodating feel, but it's still pretty nice and snug in terms of the length and the width as well. So it's a very nice snug one-to-one fit. And as far as for narrow footers, you should probably go down half a size as well because of the accommodating fit that you're going to get. Maybe down a half size because it does break in over time. And as far as for wide footers, you should be able to be good to go while going true to size, in my opinion, because of the forgiveness and the width of the shoe itself. So yeah, a pretty good fit as long as you go down half a size. For narrow footers, go down half a size as well. And for wide footers, you should be able to go true to size as well. Now, for the traction pattern itself, you're going to get a full-length rubber outsole with this widened herringbone pattern that you get in the forefoot, and it slightly decouples into the midfoot, and you also get more of that herringbone style in the heel as well. And as far as how it grips, it actually grips pretty well. You just have to give it some time to break in because the rubber itself is kind of hard at the beginning, so you do have to rubber it in just to give it a little bit more of a feel on the court. And once you do that, it is pretty good in my opinion. As far as lateral movements go, they felt pretty good to me. It had a nice quick reaction when I was moving side to side, so I really liked how they felt going side to side. Vertical movements as well, for the most part, they felt pretty good. Hard stops felt solid with a little bit of give, that way it doesn't feel too violent. And get-offs as well, they were good at times, but I did get some sliding here or there when I was trying to get a quick first step. There were times where I did slide a little bit and I had to hit the ground running, so a little bit iffy when it came to get-offs, but for the most part, it stayed consistent when it came to push-offs in general. As far as dusty courts, it picks up a little bit of dust, but it didn't really hinder the performance that much when it comes to the traction pattern that much. And it is very easy to wipe it off, so with a quick wipe here and there, you're going to be just fine, and you're going to have pretty solid grip on a dusty court. When it comes to the durability, it is actually holding up pretty well in my opinion because of the hard rubber that you get, and the grooves are pretty deep too, so you're going to have a nice amount of tread when it comes to it. And you also get micro gritting on the grooves themselves, and the only wear that I've experienced is the micro gritting just balding out in the high wear areas, so you should be good to go playing in these outdoors. So you be mindful of that. The only wear that I've experienced indoors is basically the micro gritting being balded out. So for outdoor use, you should be good to go. Indoors, as long as you rubber them in and get acclimated with the dust setting that you get, it's pretty easy to wipe off, and it gets better and better the more you play in it. Just you have to acclimate the rubber because it is kind of hard initially. So overall, in my opinion, it's pretty good and pretty consistent compared to the Lebron 22s, in my opinion, where I was sliding all over the place. So definitely a solid improvement when it comes to the Next Gen and the Next Gen Amped when it comes to the traction, because of the thin grooves that you got on those shoes compared to these where you get thick grooves, and it is quite consistent when it comes to a clean court, dusty court, and outdoor courts especially. Now, when it comes to the cushioning, it is a little bit different compared to the Next Gen and the Next Gen Amps. You do get the same Cushlon midsole that is full length throughout the shoe, and you also get the Zoom Turbo unit in the forefoot, and you get a carbon fiber shank plate that is bottom loaded, which you didn't get in the Next Gen and the Next Gen Amps. However, the Genesis lacks a zoom unit in the heel, so it's basically just a stack of foam in the back. So that is kind of a weird difference. So as far as how it performs, forefoot cushioning is as responsive as the Next Gen's in my opinion, but with a little bit more core feel because it feels like it's a little lower. And the shank is bottom loaded, and it looks like carbon fiber, so you have a nice lively experience, and it is pretty snappy, and it also gives you that diving board like feel. So it has a really nice bounce and is very comparable to the Next Gen and Next Gen Amps. However, in the heel, they are very comfortable, and I didn't have to break it in. unlike the next gen or next gen amps where I had to break it in because of the zoom unit. It felt a little stiff at first, so you do have to break it in a little bit just to get that nice comfortable feel. So yeah, in the end, it is pretty comfortable in the heel. Didn't have to break it in. Had really nice compressions, and it was very forgiving also. And as a result, the impact protection on heel strikes felt really nice too. So it was a nice forgiving shoot in the heel. However, in the long run, it won't hold up because it is just a stack of foam. It's not really protecting anything. And over time, it will start to break down and bottom out. And it won't feel as comfortable in the long run. So that's kind of a disappointment when it comes to the heel cushioning. Moving into fluidity, they are as fluid as the next gens in my opinion. But it does have a little bit more snap because you do have carbon fiber in the midfoot. And it is bottom loaded, so you're going to have quicker feel. And it keeps the heel to toe transitions pretty smooth at the end of the day with the forgiveness in the heel. And you also get a nice snap from the carbon fiber shank plate and the Zoom turbo unit as well. So at the end of the day, they are just as good as the next gen and the next gen amps. However, they won't last as long because there is no zoom unit in the heel. So as you keep pummeling through the foam itself in the heel, it will start to bottom out and it won't feel as comfortable. Now, moving into the materials, it basically keeps the same trend of materials as far as it comes to the next gens, where you get this complete wrap of this plasticky textile material that you get basically all around the shoe from forefoot, lateral, medial, and in the heel, with some pleather material that you get on the top of the toe box. The tongue itself is very minimalistically padded, basically no padding at all. And in the back, you get a high top compared to the regular next gens. It was a low top cut, and you get more Nike Sphere padding that maintains the trend that you get from the other two shoes. And as far as how they felt, they are extremely comfortable in my opinion. As you start to break it in, it feels very buttery and it conformed really nicely to my foot. They feel just like the Lebron 22s in my opinion, but it feels more open because of the textiles that you get. The mesh is a little bit more open, so it basically molds really well, and there was very little break-in time as a result. So it feels really flexible in the forefoot. Didn't experience any pinching there. While the tongue is minimal, I didn't experience any lace irritation throughout the lace line with the cables that you get in the midfoot. So it basically alleviates the pressure in the back. And the heel it has the Nike Sphere padding, so it is very nice and forgiving, and it molds to the back of your foot the more you play in it, so it gets more comfortable the more you play in it. However, since it is a high top, it does restrict your range of motion a little bit. From what I'm used to low top shoes, so you're going to feel the restriction a little bit, but the more you break it in, it does start to flex a little bit, and it isn't as noticeable, but you are going to notice it every now and then if you are a person that has like a low cut type of vibe when it comes to shoes. As far as aesthetics, they basically look exactly the same as the next gens, but it is a high top rather than a low top. The material quality isn't the best in my opinion. You do get this plasticky feel throughout the shoe, but it is nice at the end of the day. It does maintain some looks like the double swoosh that you get with this chromatic Nike logo that you get in the back, which is nice at the end of the day, and the aggressive zebra type style that you get from the material itself is okay in my opinion. It's not really flashing out at me at the end of the day. It's basically like the next gen, but it's just a high top in my opinion. The amp is probably the best when it comes to like the material quality and the styles that you get. It kind of retains some of those qualities, but at the end of the day, it's basically a next gen high top at the end of the day, with very comfortable materials at the end of the day. Feel very nice and flexible the more you break it in, and it just gets better and better the more you play in it, and it feels very nice as well. Now, digging into the lockdown, to me, they feel just as locked in as in the next gens and the amped versions. It's just a little bit more enhanced. Firstly, in the forefoot, it does mold really well around your foot, so you're basically not going to be sliding laterally or vertically because of the molded like feel that you get in the forefoot. In the midfoot, it is simple but very effective. You basically get these threaded cables all throughout the midfoot. Allows you to crank it as much as you can, and it gives it the ability to alleviate the tightness around the midfoot. That way it won't feel as pinchy throughout the lace line. So it is pretty nice and effective when it comes down to it. It's kind of adjustable to your foot. That way you won't experience any hot spots, which is pretty nice. And in the heel, because it is a high top, you do get some nice sculpting in the back, and you do get a nice amount of padding in the back. That way it molds to the back of your foot and essentially eliminates any heel slippage, so you aren't going to experience any heel slippage in these. So it is a slight enhancement to the next gen and next gen amps, but it isn't that major because I felt locked in and I didn't experience that much heel slippage in it. But at the end of the day, it is just a slight improvement to the next gens because of the high top style, and it's basically the best you can get at that. So at the end of the day, the lockdown is nice and containing. Forefoot, midfoot as well with some adjustment, and in the heel with the high top style that you get. And last but not least, when it comes to support, they feel just as supportive as the next gens, in my opinion. When it comes to the lateral support, you basically get the same midsole structure with the protruding midsole that you get, creating a little bit of an outrigger, but you do sit directly on top of the midsole, so you're basically going to be relying on the materials, which do have a little bit of give, but the outrigger that you get does its job containing you for the most part, as well as the pleather material that you get on the toe box. And the trend continues to the midfoot. You do get a little bit of containment from the material itself, but that's basically all you're going to get. And it just improves even more with the TPU clip that you get in the back, and you also get an internal heel counter to keep the heel nice and contained. So as far as lateral movements is concerned, it's basically the same as the next gens, but with a little bit more containment in the heel with the high top style that you get. So at the end of the day, it's basically the same with that. For torsional support, it is balanced for the most part. You're getting most of the balance from the bottom loaded shank, which maintains its rigidity in the midfoot while maintaining some flexibility in the forefoot. So you're going to have some nice balance overall, just like in the next gens and the next gen amps at that. And the base department, it is basically the same too. It has a nice wide base, and it's relatively wide, and you also get a flat base as well. So you're going to have a nice planted feel basically all around, just like in the next gens and the next gen amps. So they are just as supportive. They feel exactly the same in my opinion when it comes down to it. However, in the long run, because of the heel cushioning that you get, with the lack of a zoom unit, it won't last as long, and the more you pummel it down, basically the integrity of the cushioning in the back will start to decay, and you won't feel as balanced basically in the back half of the shoe. So that is kind of a worry compared to the other shoes where I didn't experience it that much. So that's just a slight area of concern when it comes to the support. But for now, it's basically holding up its own when it comes to the next gen and next gen amps. And the Genesis, it's no slouch when it comes to support, with a nice shank to give you nice torsional rigidity and some nice flexibility at that. And the support that you get gets the job done just like the next gens, with a little bit more containment in the back half with the high top style that you get and the TPU clip that you get in the heel as well. So to sum up everything for you guys, the next Genesis is a very solid shoe for all intents and purposes, but so are the next gens and the next gen amps at that. So it is kind of hard to suggest these over those, because those are going at a very low price compared to these where they just came out. So if you want something that is more durable when it comes to the traction, this is a very solid choice because of the rubber that you get. However, for the cushioning, in terms of longevity, you are going to get the same amount of responsiveness, bounce in my opinion, and the cushioning in the heel is very nice and comfortable. But for longevity, I would most likely go with the next gen and next gen amp because of that, because you're going to get it for longer in terms of how it feels under your foot. But for materials, I'll basically go with the amp because of the premium materials that you get, and it is more containing when it comes to support at that too. So it's kind of hard to suggest these over those. I'll probably suggest these over the regular next gens because you do get a little bit more support when it comes to the back half of the shoe. But in terms of overall performance, I would still go with the next gen amps. They are still going for a lot cheaper than these. I've seen some going for less than $60, while this is going for $150. So I would probably wait for these to go on sale if you want something more containing in the back and more supportive in the back. This is a very solid choice. But for now, in terms of out of the three, I would probably go with the next gen amps because you do get a more consistent performance standpoint, and you do get more longevity in the cushioning, in my opinion. But the next Genesis is no slouch when it comes to performance. Traction's good, cushion is good as well. Materials are on the cheap side, but they do get the job done, very comfortable. Lockdown is good, and the support is pretty good as well. Thank you guys for watching this video. This has been my performance review on the next Genesis. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and comment down below on which one you think is better, the regular next gen, the next gen amp, the next Genesis. I would like to know your thoughts, as well as any other questions that you might have. If you'd like to stay up to date with future videos that I'll be posting, hit the subscribe button down below, and that will greatly support the channel as well. If you'd like to see my reviews on the next gen and the next gen amp, I will leave it on the corners of the screen right here. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, all of the information will be in the description box below. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I hope this was beneficial to you guys, and until next time, keep shooting.